All right, all right. Happy Monday, everyone. Nick Marro, DFS here with Smitty and Occupy Fantasy. As always, helping you break down tonight's NBA DFS main slate on both DraftKings and FanDuel. Yeah, just 4 games tonight, so we'll be digging into some of the uglier plays in these rotations. Got some value already opening up in places like Dallas. It is a net slate, so I'm always excited for those. Smitty, how you feeling about this one coming in here?
Yeah, pretty good. Think the slate's pretty solid. Like you said, it's spread out pretty good. I don't really know why they didn't include the two late games on either side, but oh well. Nice little four gamer.
Yeah, it's almost like a turbo slate. I mean, I don't hate that we don't have the late games with the big gap here. Obviously, there's still some football going on, but yeah, I mean, we'll play what they give us. I mean, it's kind of the nature of the beast here. Speaking of that, we got a few guys in the chat here. Appreciate you guys tuning in here early. Benjamin, as always, HP Cards, appreciate you, my man. Luke saying, I'd like to give a big shout out to the Sixers for ruling Georgia out after lock and taking all his lineups. Start slow clap. Cards saying that came out 2 minutes before. I think either way, that was frustrating for anyone who was on Paul George, obviously. We do have the Sixers again here tonight, so that is relevant. Shouts out Jose being here, Tareen Edwards as well. And then, yeah, Luke FanDuel ruled them out at 6. And we always say it, guys, not to plug Underdog. We don't have any sort of deal with them. We might for best ball, for football. But regardless, their Twitter is the place to go for NBA DFS. FanDuel and DraftKings aren't always reliable when it comes to the injury news. So, yeah, keep an eye on things there. Hopefully, nothing crazy here tonight. But first game on this 4 game slate. And as you guys know, we're always going to go through game by game. We get the Jazz on the road taking on the Cavs. Massive 249.5 point total here in Cleveland. Ace Bailey's missed some time. He's going to be back available tonight. Walker Kessler's out. Yusuf Nurkic, who seems like he misses a couple games a week. He's available here. Other than that, nothing really significant. This team is healthy. They've played a few games without Markkinen. He's going to be available here. Tough matchup on paper, but with the high total, if they can keep it close, I mean, guys like George, Markkinen, Nurkic could all be pretty appealing. Smitty, is there any Jazz players you find yourself on tonight?
Yeah. I actually like Nerd quite a bit on FanDuel. Not a super strong center slate, so don't mind taking some shots at Nerd. Laurie and Keontae are two guys. Laurie's matchup's probably a little tougher. I like Keontae more, but also guard is stacked, so it's easier to get to Laurie. So I'm getting to quite a bit of Laurie, especially in my Cleveland lineups. Just kind of prefer having someone hoping the game stays competitive. So pretty interested in those three. And then DraftKings, I'm not playing DraftKings tonight, but I think Walter Clayton's a pretty good GPP play. Minutes have been up, and 2% ownership just kind of seems wrong.
Yeah, I'm with you on Clayton. Also, if this game were to blow out, he is someone we'd probably see get run into the fourth quarter. At the same time, I do just want to mention with Ace Bailey returning, he is someone who could take a few of those Clayton minutes, but I still think it's a fine shout. Again, just a 4 game slate. We got to get a little bit weird with it tonight. Cody Williams projected to start here, even with this team healthy. I don't know why. If I'm being completely honest, I'm pretty sure he set the NBA record for worst plus minus in a game. That game a few nights ago, he was a minus 60. I don't know, man. I don't know why they wouldn't have Hendricks or Filipowski in there or Ace Bailey, who was starting for a while. I know he's coming back from injury, but any interest in Williams if he starts as a punt?
No, not for me.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm with you, man. I don't want to play this kid, whether he starts or not. Worst plus minus in NBA history is just kind of funny. Hopefully, someone breaks that record before the end of his career. That's a tough one to carry. Over on the Cleveland side of things, obviously big favorites here. The one or two significant guys that I guess Dean Wade and Max Strus, the wings, are going to be unavailable. We have Sam Merrill projected to get the start at the 3 here with Garland, Mitchell, Mobley, Allen, all healthy. This is another team who's been resting guys here and there. It seems like they're going to be fully good to go here tonight. One of the highest team totals on the slate, but mind you, there is a little bit of a blowout risk in this one. But all that being said, I mean, they're drawing a ton of ownership. So usually when a team gets healthy, they feel a bit overpriced. It seems like the field isn't really feeling that way at all here. Mobley, 33% on DK, 48 over on FanDuel. Mitchell, 27 DK, 37 on FanDuel, respectively. We're seeing decent ownership going to guys like Garland and Allen as well. Man, I think they're kind of over-owned as a team, Smitty, if I'm being completely honest. Like, I don't mind mixing these guys in. I think it would be Mitchell first, followed by Mobley, pretty much the same order that the model has them in OF Index. But how do you feel about Cleveland here at home? Obviously, the team total's nice, but there is some risk.
Yeah, that's kind of why I'm getting into the Jazz guys. It's kind of weird that everyone wants to play, especially on FanDuel. Everyone wants Mobley, Mitchell. but they're not playing any Jazz guys. It's kind of hard to see both of them getting there without someone from the Jazz doing pretty well. So I do have a little bit of interest in Mitchell, just because you need the raw points. Mobley, I'm trying to get underweight on. Just hasn't been playing great, even though it's against Utah, which is a good matchup. Someone I'm going to kind of be underweight on. Jared Allen, I think, is kind of interesting. If I'm going underweight on Mobley, I don't mind getting to a little bit of Jared Allen. And then Sam Merrill, I think, is actually a pretty good play. The Jazz give up a ton of threes, something Merrill's good at. So don't mind mixing in Merrill. And then Garland, I think, is okay. Kind of pulling some ownership, like you said, but I don't mind mixing in Garland as well.
Yeah, it's pretty much any of the starters. And I will say this, it's kind of weird, but Marrow might be my favorite of that group just because he is cheap. He has guard and forward eligibility on both sites, which makes him really easy to get to. And looking at the game logs, he's made 5+3s in 4 consecutive games. I mean, we could go through the whole NBA this year. I don't imagine too many guys have done that. So he's absolutely locked in. Good matchup here, obviously, against the Jazz. You mentioned a team that does give up a lot of threes. So if you're looking to get a little bit different, I do not mind getting to some Sam Merrill here. Obviously, scoring dependent, but when he's hot, he's hot. Kind of is what it is. Just a second here, guys. We'll get into the next game on the slate again. Appreciate Heath tuning in here. Jose with the question: are there any priorities on the Cavs for you? For me, no. Personally, I think they're over-owned as a whole. But Smitty, is there anyone you're kind of considering a priority?
Not to me. No. I do think one of them probably has a good game if this total comes anywhere close to where it's at. So I think you probably want a Cav, but as far as who, I don't really know.
Yeah, maybe if the game was in Utah, I'd lean to Donovan Mitchell with it being his former team. But yeah, no real narratives here or anything like that. Appreciate you being here, Heath, as well. I think I may have already mentioned you, but double kudos to you. Again, we're going to have a quiet crowd here tonight on a Monday. I think a lot of people keyed in on football, understandably so. But we got the next game here, 7:30 window or game. Or there's 2 games at 7:30 Eastern. The Celtics taking on the Pacers, going to be the first one we're going to break down here. 225.5 point total. Celtics are favored, but pretty tight spread, all things considered. Jaylen Brown is out. I think that's the main reason for that, obviously. Sam Hauser is going to be questionable here. Josh Minott is going to be out here as well. So things could be kind of interesting. I mean, the most obvious plays are going to be the guards. Obviously, whenever Jaylen Brown's out, we're going to be getting to a lot of Pritchard and a lot of White. I think they're core plays for me on both sides. I think they're good chalk. Again, it's kind of tough to get away from them and feel good about it. I think they're priced about where they should be. Yeah, I think I have both in most of my lineups right now. Not exactly a hot take there. I will say Hugo Gonzalez is projected to start. I don't have much interest in him. We're projecting him for 22 minutes. He's had a few big games, but I just don't know that he's necessary on a slate like this. I do like Keita in the front court. You mentioned it earlier. For even a 4 game slate, like center is usually one of the deeper positions we have. Tonight, it is not. And Kate has been getting there in limited minutes. Pretty high ceiling, good matchup here. Even with low usage, just the rebounds and the stocks for him make him a great fantasy producer. So if he could find his way into a few more minutes or he takes a couple more shots with Jaylen Brown unavailable, I do think Keita is a really appealing play here and very low owned on both sides. So he makes tons of sense. The last stream I was on, I said, hey, Simons has been hot. Actually, no, I just said this in the Discord. I think Jayhawk was on, and I just typed it out as a comment. But I was like, man, Simons has been on fire. I think he's a great sneaky play today. He went out there and played terribly against the Spurs 2 nights ago. I'm fine going back to the well there on him, though. He's been seeing more minutes off the bench. Seems like he's gained the trust of Joe Mazzulla. 25+ minutes in 4 straight games. And again, with no Jaylen Brown, he is another guy who could benefit from that vacuum and usage there. If Hauser's in, you can mix him in. Fine with it. Again, I think he's pretty popular, understandably so, but I'd rather get to White, Pritchard, obviously. I do like Keita. I think he's on her own. And then Simons would be next for me. I'd rank him ahead of Hauser. But all these guys are pretty appealing, Smitty. Great matchup for Boston. How do you feel about them here?
Yeah, you pretty much nailed it. I think Pritchard and White are really tough to get away from. More so Pritchard just because of his price. White, there's kind of some comparable plays like Keontae or something like that, but still, it's Derek White going to see all the usage. Same with Pritchard. I think them two are the priorities from Boston, and then after that, you have Hauser, Q Tag. As far as I know, I don't think he's available yet. So if he's out, then there's kind of a lot of minutes to go to like Hugo, Simons, Walsh, Shireman. So I do think someone is probably pretty interesting. For me personally, if Hauser's out, I'm probably going to favor Walsh. But either way, I think someone's pretty interesting. I do like Simons. I think he's pretty good. And then Luca Garza, Keita, I think they're both playable on this slate. Garza on FanDuel, it's kind of tough because you only get one center, but I still think he's fine. Same with Keita. One of them probably has a pretty solid game.
Yeah, the minutes have gone up for Garza lately. It is affecting Keita a little bit, but it is worth noting if you're looking to get different, Garza off the bench has played 20 plus minutes in three of his last four, I believe four of his last six. So he's become a part of this rotation. Again, I think Mozula is realizing that it's a long season. He doesn't want to burn out his starters a la Tom Thibodeau, and he needs to kind of extend the rotations a little bit. So guys like Garza, Gonzalez, Simons, Shearman have all been seeing more minutes, and I think they'll continue to do so. But with Brown out, could see even bigger of a boost for them here in a really good matchup against the Pacers. On the other side of the ball, Pacers still no Tyrese Halliburton, no surprise there. Isaiah Jackson's going to be out. Benedict Matherin's out. Obviously, that's significant. Big piece of news we're waiting on. Andrew Nemhard. I don't know if this has come out. I'm looking at the 5:30 injury report right now, and he is still questionable there. Ethan Thomas down with the G League, he is questionable there as well. Yeah, man. If Nemhard's in, I think he's fine. I know the prices come up on him, but he continues to produce at a really high level. I will say Siakam has finally become playable again with Mathurin out. Seeing his usage come up, obviously didn't have a great game there against the Miami Heat, but at the same time, I mean, 50 plus fantasy points for him, two of his last four. I don't mind mixing him in. Johnny Furphy, kind of out of nowhere, has been starting lately. We've seen him spike some upside. His price has come up a little bit. I will say, if Nemhard's out, I'd feel a little bit better about getting to some Furphy, even though he is forward listed on both sites. I think he could play more minutes at guard. And then if Nemhard's out, we got to talk about TJ McConnell because the price is up on him to a point now where I don't know, man. We talked about the minutes last time with Nemhard out. He ended up playing 27 against Charlotte, was pretty much one of the best plays on the slate there. I think if Nemhard's out, I do want to get to him. If Nemhard's in, I'm very comfortable just not playing him at all. But this news is important. I will say that first game between Cleveland and Utah, unless you're game stacking, you can maybe just wait on these next couple games and see what we get. But again, with Nemhard out, McConnell would look great. With Nemhard in, I think 5K plus is a tough tag to play. Smitty, go ahead and break down these Pacers for me before I start
Yeah.
rambling about guys like Ben Shepherd and Jarvis Walker.
Uh, we just got Nemhard's in, so
Okay, that
uh,
helps.
no worries. So for the Pacers, I don't know. I'm not really too interested in anybody. I think Siakam could be used as a pivot. Don't mind him. Nemhard's playable, and then the center rotation is just kind of a mess. And they chose to go small ball last game with Siakam playing some 5 minutes. So overall, it's just not super appealing. But I do think you could go to Neesmith and Siakam probably are my favorite ones. And then Furphy, I think he's an okay punt value, pretty low ownership. He's kind of been into favor lately, so don't mind him. Has double double upside, which is pretty good at his price.
Yeah, I don't mind the Furphy call at all. But yeah, with Nemhard in, I wouldn't be playing any McConnell. I do want to say that. And Carlisle's tricky. He's one of these coaches that, like, if he trusts you, he'll play you more minutes, but he's very fickle. He kind of changes his mind at times. But it does seem like right now Furphy is a guy that he's comfortable giving considerable minutes to. So as long as he's starting good piece of value at very low ownership, I like that you brought up Naismith as well. Behind Nemhard and Siakam, definitely the highest floor play from the Pacers here. So I don't mind mixing him in at all. All right, guys. Before we get to the next 7:30 game here, just taking a quick look at chat. Cardin's letting us know that Nemhard is in. Tarina asking about Colin Murray Boyles, and I'll use that as an opportunity to segue here into the next game at 7:30. We have the 76ers taking on the Toronto Raptors in Toronto, 220.5 point total. Raptors slight underdogs on the road, which is kind of interesting. Still waiting on Embiid, right? He is questionable. Paul George, who was famously scratched 6 minutes before lock or after lock, depending on where you get your news from. He's going to be questionable here as well. Kelly Oubre is back. He's available. But yeah, man, really kind of comes down to Embiid. I mean, if Embiid is in, again, on a thin center slate, even with limited minutes, I don't mind getting to him. And when I say limited, like, he's capped around 32 or 33 now. So even knowing this, like, I don't know. He's still one of the highest upside plays on the slate. He's not priced like it. 9K flat on DK, 9,400 over on FanDuel. I think he's under owned here if he's in, but definitely keep an eye on that. Maxey's fine. Obviously, high ceiling. He's very expensive here today. It makes him tough to get to. But since he's tough to get to, that's what makes him a good tournament play. And then Edgecombe has been playing excellent. The price has come up on him now, though. I will say with Embiid out, I do think I would still get to him at 7K plus, but with Embiid in, the usage does come down a little bit. So I don't know that I'd be rushing there. So again, the Embiid news, even though he's a center, I think it affects everyone else regardless of position. If he's out and Drummond gets the start, we're going to see him go way up in terms of his ownership. I wouldn't mind mixing him in, but kind of a tricky team to nail down somebody until we have that Embiid news. Do you have a lean there on that? And then just go ahead and break down the Sixers for us.
No, I kind of lean Embiid plays here. I think it was just kind of back to back resting, so he could play this one. But yeah, like you, I think Embiid's underowned. I'm currently overweight on FanDuel. I think it's a pretty decent spot for him. So I do like Embiid. On DraftKings, he's even better priced with a lot of upside. So I'm interested in Embiid. Maxey's kind of fine. Don't mind him, but like you said, he's pretty expensive. But someone you want to mix in if you're playing multiple lineups. After that, it's kind of messy. Like I think Edgecombe is fine. Is Paul George officially in, or is he still questionable?
Still questionable last I
Okay.
saw.
I kind of think George might sit after that, but I don't know. Maybe he don't. But if he does sit, I do think Edgecombe's pretty interesting, even at his elevated price. And then it would make like Quentin Grimes pretty playable. Same with Oubre. But if George plays, I think he's fine. You kind of just have to assume he's good to go, and hopefully he actually gets out on the court. But yeah, I would have interest in Paul George if he plays.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. And we did get the question from Jose Grimes or Ubre. So Ubre is working his way back from injury, probably coming off the bench. He's cheap, but we have him for just 22 minutes. I think Grimes is the safer play. We have him at 29. But again, there is going to be a day where that minutes cap comes off of Ubre, in which case I would prefer him. But for now, I'll say Grimes out of the two. But yeah, man, Embiid, last time he played Toronto was November 8th, was very much on a minutes limit then. 25 minutes, 44 fantasy points, had a 36% usage rate. So tonight, if he plays a few more minutes, I mean, like he has been lately, we could be looking at 50 to 60 fantasy points. There's a world where he could lead this slate in terms of raw points and sub 20% on both sites on a 4 game slate. Sign me up for that for sure. So we're still waiting on that news. Hopefully he plays and we could get to him as a great tournament option here. Moving into the last game on the slate in the 8:30 window, we have my Brooklyn Nets taking on the Dallas Mavericks here in Dallas. Very low total, just 219.5 points.
Oh,
Dallas favored at home, no surprise there.
we got to
Brooklyn, they've
hit
been kind of
Toronto.
rest. What's that?
The Raptors.
Oh, I forgot the Raptors.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah, I'm so excited to get to the Nets. You
I know you
understand.
are.
Let's talk about the Raptors first, guys. Sorry about that. No RJ Barrett for Toronto. Brandon Ingram is a game time decision, currently listed as questionable. Jakob Poeltl is going to be out here as well. I really, I don't know, man. If Jamal Sheed starts here again with no Jacoby Walter, he looks excellent in the model. I think he's one of the better value plays on the slate. But if he doesn't start, would you still be playing him? I think is the question. And then before I throw it over to you, obviously quickly looks really good here, as does Barnes. No RJ Barrett's going to be a boost for them, but with Ingram out, they would become kind of priority plays. So we do need more news out of this game than just the Embiid side. So yeah, I kind of ripped through it, was jumping into the next one. But if Sheed starts, I love him here, but have to keep an eye on that lineup. Smitty, any lean on the Ingram stuff? I think he was a late add to the injury report, but they did just come out and say he's a game time decision.
Yeah, it's tough. I don't really have a lean there. If Ingram's out, I think she looks better because he's going to have to do a little bit more offensively. He's mainly out there for defense, but he does a lot still. So I do like Sheed. I think he looks pretty good starting. He's better if Ingram's out. I don't know if like whatever projections you use will actually update for that, but I do think he looks a lot better. Um, CMB, Colin Murray Boyles, played a lot of minutes last night, which is kind of scary, but he's young. I do like him at his ownership. Even going against Embiid, it's not really, except for foul trouble, it's not like a horrible matchup. Embiid don't really rebound. So there is a lot of rebounds to go around. So I do think he's a pretty solid play. Elijah Martin played like 30 minutes yesterday. If Ingram's out, I guess you got to consider it. But I don't know. I haven't put too much thought into him, but I guess you could play him in tournaments if Ingram is out. Um, and then if Ingram is out, it's going to make quickly Barnes look better. I already like Barnes, even assuming Ingram's in. I think it'll more so make quickly look a little bit better. And as far as Ingram, even if he plays, I'm not too interested at his price. Just coming off an injury, just not something I really want to mess with. But Sandro, you always got to mention him on a short slate at least. Colin Murray Boyles played a ton of minutes yesterday, so I do think there's a chance where Sandro could see a few more minutes here. So I think he's worth mixing in.
Yeah, I was going to say the exact same thing, man. I mean, we look at the back to back. Murray Boyles played 42 minutes. Sandro only played 18. Um, I don't know. I think it's probably going to flip a little bit. I do think you could still get to some Murray Boyles, but I don't think there's a world where he's playing over 30 minutes tonight. We have him right at 29. I'd be a little bit surprised. And we have Sandro at 20. I think we might be a little bit under projecting Sandro, over projecting Murray Boyles, but we don't have a ton of sample of Murray Boyles on back to backs where he doesn't have a minutes cap. If you remember earlier in the year, they weren't letting him play more than 25. So he could play back to backs, and we weren't really going to figure out whether he would see an increase or a decrease based on that. But coming off a game where he played 42, knowing they limited him earlier in the year, I'm a little bit concerned. So definitely something to keep an eye on there. Wouldn't be surprised to see Sandro starting here, especially if Ingram's out either. But I'm with you, man. I do trust Sheed more with Ingram off the floor. I will say, as long as he's starting, I am fine using him as value. It's just he's probably going to be a little bit overowned in that case. But again, another situation where we are waiting on news. But yeah, Mogbo's the only other big they have on the bench. He played as many minutes as Sandro last night. I don't want to play any Mogbo, but I do think they're going to let Sandro pretty much play as much as he can here. So yeah, are you with me in thinking maybe the 20 is kind of an under projection? It stinks he's center only on both sites though, so maybe we don't really get to him anyway.
Yeah, it's tough. The only reason I'm considering it is because a lot of the good plays are at guard, and so I kind of want to get different with my forward and center. So I do like taking some shots there. Like you said, it's possible Murray Boyles only plays 20, 25 minutes, and then Sandro gets the rest. So definitely a good tournament play.
Yep. And if Embiid's out, I feel even better about Sandro. Obviously, the matchup gets a lot softer if he's running around Drummond comparatively. All right, now we can get into the Nets here. A little bit eager. We got the Nets here taking on Dallas, 219.5 point total. Dallas favorite at home. So the Nets, as I was saying before I forgot to get back to Toronto, they've been kind of resting Igor Dioman like every other night on back to backs. Michael Porter Jr. has been getting some rest, but tonight, no Igor, no Highsmith, no Saraf, no Cam Thomas, and no Zaire Williams. So they're running a pretty short rotation here. I will say Michael Porter Jr. looks really solid. He's drawing ownership. He's kind of pricey, but if you could afford him, I do like him a lot. Unfortunately, he's small forward only on DK, which makes him a little bit tougher to get to, but at the same time, his ceiling has been there. Don't mind the matchup here either with Dallas pretty thin themselves. Claxton, don't mind mixing him in. I mean, I don't know. Lately, we haven't really seen the ceiling from him, but the minutes are there. He played 30 against the Clippers, 27 against Memphis. I do think he's a fine center play to be getting to. You can mix in Clowney, you can mix in Man. My guy, Danny Wolf, probably going to be coming off the bench here, but at 4K flat, I've been building on DK. Power forward is very, very thin tonight. I think if you're landing on Danny Wolf to make some other things work, it's not a bad idea. Definitely comfortable getting to a decent amount of him. And then Nolan Traore is probably going to get the start here at point guard. It could be Tyrese Martin. I think whoever it is, you could have some interest in. Traore is a rookie. I don't think he's going to be allowed to play more than 25 or so minutes. But if it is Martin, I think Terrence Mann would see a big boost because when Mann's on the floor with a real point guard, he's not nearly as productive. But if it's him out there in the backcourt with Tyrese Martin, even though he's going to be listed at the two, I think Terrence Mann's going to be the true one, if that makes sense. So keep an eye on that starting lineup. If it is Traore, I don't have a ton of interest in him, but it would take me off of Terrence Mann a little bit. But if it's Martin next to Mann, I would be getting to a decent amount of Terrence Mann. So again, keep an eye on that situation there. Danny Wolf, my favorite value play as things stand. Definitely like Porter and Claxton Smitty. How do you feel about the Nets here on the road in Dallas?
Yeah. Do you think Wolf starts?
I do not.
Okay,
He could, but yeah, I would be a little bit surprised. I think they're
that'd be
Man's going
mad.
to start either way. I think it's either going to be Traore or Martin next to him. If Man's the point guard and it's Porter, Wolf, Clowney, Claxton, like that's a huge lineup.
That's
I
massive.
would like I would like that too, but I think you can play Wolf either way.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so too. There is a chance he starts at least, so I do think that makes him even better. And then you can kind of late swap around if you don't want to still play him. But like you said, I think he's really good even off the bench. Um, but yeah, pretty much I'm going to mirror you. I think Man's fine, assuming he does start. Really don't have no reason to start not to start him. Claxton is someone I'm pretty overweight on FanDuel. Like we've talked about a few times, I like Claxton when MPJ's out there. Now that you kind of take away their point guards, Claxton's might be asked to do a little bit more facilitating. So I do think Claxton's pretty good. And then MPJ as well. MPJ's priced up, but and the field's not like I wouldn't say he's over owned. He's probably appropriately owned, but I do think he's a pretty good play, especially up against Dallas. So pretty interested in Brooklyn. It's mainly for me going to be Claxton, Wolf, and MPJ on FanDuel. DraftKings, I'd be more into like Terrence Mann and these kind of fringe guys. Traore, I don't know if you mentioned it. Are you interested in him if he starts?
I'm concerned about the minutes, but he is significant to me in that if he's starting with Man, I have less interest in Man. If it's Man with Martin or Wolf, I like Man a lot more. I think Trowery is going to be running the offense when he's out there. It's just playing only 24 to 26 minutes. I don't know that I trust him.
Yeah.
So again, it's a bigger effect on Terrence Mann there. And again, I think there's not going to be many people in the industry digging that deep into these Nets rates. So hopefully we get an advantage there. Hopefully Terrence Mann is out there with Martin or Wolf, and you could load up on him. But yeah, let's go over to the Dallas side of things now. Another team with a lot of guys out. Obviously, Anthony Davis going to be out for a while. No Dante Exum. Daniel Gafford was a late add to the injury report. He is questionable. No Kyrie. Derek Lively, Gafford's backup, still out. No PJ Washington and no Brandon Williams. So Dallas, man, they were so disappointing the other day against Chicago. We loaded up on them. Just didn't really figure things out until it was too late. Nemhard was very cheap there. He looks good again here. Obviously, no Brandon Williams kind of solidifies his minutes. He's probably the easiest play to get here, followed by Cooper Flag. Flag had a really poor game shooting, but I do think he's going to bounce back here against the Nets. I mean, the Nets' defense has been a little bit better, but I don't think there's anyone on this team that could really slow Flag down. I think he bounces back in a huge way here at home. So definitely want to get to a lot of Cooper Flag. Najee Marshall with PJ Washington out as well, even with the price increase, he's probably next in line. That group of three at the top, Nemhard, Marshall, Flag, I like a lot on both sites. Gafford, if he's in, I don't love him. He's been playing limited minutes. But if he's out, Musa Sisse is probably going to get the start at the five. It could be Dwight Powell, as you and I were discussing pre-stream. But Sisse in 19 minutes against Chicago, 27 fantasy points. If he can get over 20 minutes here, we saw it a few times in November. This guy does have 25 to 30 point fantasy upside. It's not a terrible matchup here against the Nets. Would become a very appealing value play, and I don't know how aggressively the field's going to want to get to him with some of the other center plays we have on the slate. So keep an eye on that situation. Christie's fine to mix in. Clay, fine to mix in. Definitely going to be coming off the bench here. That's pretty much it for me, but I say pretty much it, and I think I've mentioned almost every player for Dallas. In spite of the low total, it's a thin rotation. I think you have to get them here, at least a decent amount, even coming off a terrible game. Hopefully that keeps the ownership in check. Smitty, how you ranking these Dallas guys? Which ones are you prioritizing?
Yeah, I like Dallas quite a bit. I think they're in a pretty good spot, as well as I like Brooklyn too. So kind of like this game, even with the low total. Got a pretty tight spread. To me, Nimhard is one of my favorites, especially on FanDuel. His ownership's just too low. All the ownership's going to Shed or Sheed, and I think Nimhard's a really good pivot. So he was trending for like over 30 minutes last time out if it wasn't for blowout. So I'm pretty interested there. No Brandon Williams. Not too worried about D'Lo taking minutes. So I like Nimhard. Najee, I think's fine. Same with like Clay and Christie, kind of all in a bucket for me. Gafford, if he plays, he's really good. He was a late Q tag, so not sure if he does. If we do get Cisse, I think he's really good on DraftKings. On FanDuel, I still think he's playable. Like I'm going to go into the slate with a few percent and hope that works because there's not a ton of centers in that price range, so it'll kind of make me different already.
Yeah.
So I think Cisse's fine. Um, After that, oh, Flag. He's more expensive on FanDuel. I really like him on DraftKings, but FanDuel, I still think he's a pretty solid play. So I like mixing him in. It's basically like, do you want Flag or Mobley? I feel like Flag has more ceiling to him, so I do like going with Flag.
Yeah, I'll throw out Michael Porter Jr. as another pivot over on FanDuel, a little bit cheaper as well. I think he could hit a similar ceiling. But yeah, someone brought it up here. I think it was Sino saying Flag only one rebound last game. Yeah, I think that was his career low. Prior to that, he'd done like 10 games with six plus. So that definitely felt like an outlier. Obviously, getting comfortable out there with a few guys out. The usage was still there. He was still taking shots, but played limited minutes. They got blown out. I'm very comfortable going right back to Cooper Flag. Nemhard, Marshall, those are the three I've keyed in on. But again, keep an eye on the lineups here. Definitely an interesting spot, even with the low total. It's just a 4 game slate, guys. So you don't need to double count things. You definitely want to get exposure to this one either way. Is it okay from Cino to play low owned good OF value? Absolutely. If you're looking at OF index, we always kind of recommend this. You look to see who's rating highly and is low owned. Like tonight, Maxi. Obviously, if Embiid's out, this ownership's going to come out. He looks like a pretty good play. Marketing looks good. We already talked about how much we like Embiid, but yeah, if a guy ranks highly in OF index and they're not popular, that's probably the best way to get different. Sometimes you got to eat the chalk at value just to open things up, but if you can get different with your payups, that's probably the way to go. Card saying Embiid and PG still game time decisions. So we don't have that news yet, Smitty. Are you on double duty today, or is Jayhawk in there?
Jayhawks in there.
Nice. So anyone who is behind the paywall, we got Jayhawk going live at 6:30 up until lock. He will be breaking down the lineups as they do come out, since we're still waiting on them here. Also, if you get access, you could if you pay for access, you could get this model here that we use throughout the videos at your fingertips. Obviously, this will be updating in real time for ownership, OF index value, all that good stuff as news is breaking. A little bit of an add-on. We have the multi-lineup builder there as well. So definitely a good time to sign up for Occupy. But let's go ahead and do some dummy builds here, Smitty. I think tonight we have to start with some Dallas, but Boston's the more obvious spot, right? So let's go ahead and get White and Pritchard in, right?
Yep. Yeah, White, Pritchard.
Cool. All right. So yeah, throw some names at me, dude. I'm pretty comfortable getting whoever in.
We could go Flag or
Or
Shed.
yeah, let's go Flag. What what they change his eligibility every single slate. So I know
Yeah,
I'm stuttering here, but
Flag is point guard, small forward today.
yeah, let's put him in at small forward. And you mentioned earlier, I think we have Nemhard and Sheed. Do these Boston guards have um, shooting guard eligibility? White does, Pritchard
White
doesn't.
does. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So let's fix this. Let's go ahead and get Pritchard in at point, White in at shooting guard, and then we could pick one as Sheed or Nemhard as the other guard. I mean, we could also build with both since it's a thin center slate. But who would you prioritize there? Do you like Nemhard more than Sheed, or do you want both?
It depends on the Ingram news, so it's kind of tough for me. If Ingram's out, probably lean Sheed, but if not, I like Nemhard more.
Yeah, and let's honestly do this for now. I don't mind getting to both of them here. Again, we don't have a ton of great centers on this slate, so getting a little bit of value with your utility spot for someone like she, who's very popular, but he's been showing upside, that affords us 5,800 left per player. Who's your preferred center over here, man? I don't mind Kada. The minutes are a little concerning. I mean, if Embiid's out, maybe Drummond, but yeah, it's probably Claxton or
Yeah, I like Claxton.
all right, let's just go with Claxton. Yeah, power forward. And again, if Gafford's out, it's probably Sisse for Dallas if he starts. But same game, we're going to be able to pivot if we need to. Power forward, 5,900 per. I mean, I like Najee, but I don't think he's a power forward. Let's see here. I'll put him at forward, and then we're left with 5,800 at power forward. It's gross.
That is bad.
Eh, like I said earlier, power forward on DK tonight is disgusting. I was building earlier. Like you're either getting up to Siakam, Markkinen, Barnes, or you're very cheap. Let's go with Danny Wolf.
Yeah.
Even off the bench, I don't mind it. And then forward, we can afford Mobley. Something like this.
Yep, I like it.
Any objections? Cool. All right. Jumping over to FanDuel now. You said you're heavy on FanDuel tonight, right? Go ahead and throw some names at me. I'll get White
Yeah.
and Pritchard in there.
Yep. Those are the first two. Probably Shed's even cheaper over there, or you could go Nemhard, or I think you could even play both. But then you don't play Donovan Mitchell, so it's kind of tough. Danny Wolf's still pretty good there.
Small forward there too. That's useful.
Yeah. Center's probably Claxton for me too.
Yeah, I will say if Embiid's in and we get him at low ownership, that's going to look really good. But I'm pretty
Yeah, I do
comfortable
like
going
Embiid
Claxton.
too.
Um, I mean, we're either paying up for Fly. We could go Najee,
Yeah, we could do that.
and then we're left with 8K per. We can pretty much do whatever we want. You said you like Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah, I like Donovan.
Cool. Small forward. We're looking around. I don't know. What if we go Scotty? What's that going to leave us?
Yeah, I do like Scotty too.
Yeah. Clowney, Murray Boyles. It's kind of a weird range.
Yeah.
If we go up the flag, we're looking at the same plays. I mean, man, it's tough. We could move Wolf to power forward. What is that going to leave us at small forward? Grimes, eh. I mean, I like Christie, but I don't want to leave this much salary. I mean,
Yeah.
upgrade Sheet and Numhard, maybe something like this.
Yeah, we could probably even go from Claxton to Embiid or something like that.
Yeah, so you guys kind of see where we're at. The Boston guys are priority. You want to get some Dallas in there. Pick your places, but yeah, if we go all the way up to Embiid, I mean, we'd probably have to move Mitchell out, which wouldn't be a big deal. But we could get Sheeta and Nemhard. We'd have 1K left if we did that. So cool. You guys kind of see where we're at. Cheap, low on value. I mean, as long as they're scoring well in the model, man. If you're sorting by value and they're not on the first page on a 4 game slate, that's probably a bad thing. So yeah, I would say you want to see them up there. Thoughts on Porter as a pivot from Sheed? Nemhard. He's shown he can get there in just over 20 minutes, possible in the blowout. Any interest in Craig Porter Jr. tonight, Smitty? I don't think it's crazy on a 4 game slate. Can't say I feel great about it, but he's been getting there.
Yeah, I don't think it's too bad. He is point guard, and there's a lot of good point guards, so he kind of has to really do it. But I think he's okay.
Yeah, yeah. Someone testing me here to see if I'm Ron Burgundy and I'll just read anything off the teleprompter. The answer to that is no. Absolute power, better late than never. Appreciate you being here, Power. We got a couple more minutes, guys. If you have any other questions, I'm going to refresh the news here one last time and see if anything came in. But yeah, we got Jay Huck going live in just a few minutes. As always, like the video, subscribe to the channel. We're going to be live here all week. I know Chuck already has an NFL showdown video up for tonight. Been a great weekend of, playoff football. Hopefully that continues here into the evening. But yeah, no news yet. Embiid, George, still game time decisions. You already mentioned Nemhard's in, so a few things we're waiting on. Brandon Ingram as well, guys. Definitely keep an eye on the news. Things could certainly change. Smitty, any other thoughts before we get out of here? Any news that I didn't mention that you're keeping an eye on? Yeah, we can just.
No, we got the Cavs starting lineup. Merrill's confirmed starting, but all the rest is normal.
Yeah, and again, Merrill, I think he's had 5 games in a row with 5 threes, 4 or 5. Maybe you keep that streak going here. So yeah, feel free to mix him in. But I think that's all for tonight, guys. Definitely appreciate you tuning in. Should be a fun slate. Again, only 4 games. Even more important to keep your eye on the news, lineups, all that good stuff. But let's have fun here. Take care and good luck.
Power's already at it.